Hi, I'm John Grzbowski, and today I'm drawing a Stirge. Alright, hello, welcome to today's drawing. Alright, so today, I think I'm going to draw a Stirge from Dungeons & Dragons. Alright, so first, real quick, some materials. So I'm sketching in my sketch wallet. This is what I've been doing lately. I really like the size of the sketchbook in here because it lets me get stuff done in a relatively quick time. So here's some of the sketches we've been doing. Just different sort of player characters and monsters from D&D. So yeah, we got a beholder and an ogre and such. All right, so so this is a sketch wallet. So it holds here, it holds your money and other such things. But what's great is it can hold like a pen like this, hidden right here, and it's also got a little slip thing here for a pencil. So I use a color erase from Pismacolor. There's just a little nub one that fits right in here. So that I always have it where I'm going. And then for inking, I actually don't use this pen, I actually use this one, a Pentel brush pen in here. So it's got a really nice brush tip, and it refills these cartridges that you can get. Really awesome. Talking about materials, if you're just starting out, you don't need any of these fancy things. Actually, if you're just starting out, I do have a suggestion for you. Go and find some really cheap copy paper. And if you're really fancy, you can get these little binder clips. And what you want to do is you want to stack up just a couple pieces of copy paper. I have a grid graph paper on the other side for when I'm drawing maps and stuff for Dungeons and Dragons. But I would suggest just getting a big stack of copy paper if you're learning to draw, and get like the cheapest ballpoint pen you can find. So I've got this one, which is just one my apartment complex gave me, which is just basically a Bic ballpoint pen. Let's see if I can get it going. Just got it. So yeah, blue ink. Doesn't really even matter if you're just starting off. The goal is to just get a lot of mileage out in drawing. So I'll use that probably for some preliminary sketches. All right, and then I got the monster manual. So let's see, I want to draw a Stirge today. So we want to go to S. Stirge, there we go. Right, so we got this beautiful art here. When I'm approaching these drawings, generally I want to look at the shape. So my style, this is more of a cartoony storybook style, very much so inspired by these children's D&D books, and especially this Far Quest. I've been reading these with my son. These are really great. I really like that style. Very like Saturday morning cartoon or like storybook style, big exaggerated proportions. Realistic stuff is fun too, but I don't know. I really like the sort of shapes and stuff I can get out of these. All right, so I'm going to be drawing the Stirge. The final drawing is going to go in here, but I'll do some quick preliminary sketches out on the paper first. So now I don't normally do these, but I want to kind of like show a little bit of my process for you out there. So to start, when I'm looking at a subject, I kind of want to break it down into shapes and see sort of like what I can do with it. So at the Stirge, we have a couple important things we want to look at. So to start, I'm just going to get like a general like shape layout. So the first thing I always draw is I draw like a line of action, which is the gesture of what it's doing. So this is kind of what this guy's doing. So this line goes from his nose all the way through the main of his body. And then from there, I'll use this to judge out the proportions. So this drawing here that I'm going to do it just in its normal proportions. So its head's kind of right there, and here's its body. It's got a tail that kind of comes out this far. And then I'm going to lay in just some real quick bodily structures. So there we go. I got some feet here. He's got some extra arms here. And some arms up here. All right, and then we got its head. And this little mosquito sucker. So when I'm drawing these shapes here, I'm thinking of them in like 3D form. So like this form right here, it's actually kind of like a cylinder. If I drew through it, it'd be like that. So I'm thinking of it in terms of form. So his head here, it's kind of like a ball or a sphere. and then off of it, this little like cone sort of protrusion for that. And I got some hair, and then the wings. So the wings in this drawing aren't very pronounced. I know in like some of the 4th edition Stirge drawings, they had really big wings. I think that's kind of what I'm gonna go for. All right, so that's kind of like what this Stirge is. So now I have somewhat more of an understanding. So it looks like it's got like more appendages. So it's got the wings, which are kind of like a set of arms, and it's got like a secondary set of arms to grab on, and then oh, looks like a tertiary set of arms down here too. So that's something I didn't think of in my head, so I'm glad I looked at the reference here. And then more sort of a secondary set of bat wings coming off of there. All right. So that's got me a pretty good idea. So now I want to kind of play with the proportions and make it kind of interesting. So I'm kind of thinking of shrinking the head, keeping the snout exaggerated, and shrinking maybe the arms and legs, but making the wings really big. So that way we have the varying in like the shapes and forms. So my initial idea, let's see if I draw that line of action, so we're getting a similar pose, but I'm going to do the head really small. So maybe like this, and I'll do a really small body too. Oh yeah, he's got a tail. I don't have the tail there, so let's make his tail long. All right, but then now I'm gonna go and do the arms, and I'm gonna make these kind of like T-Rex tiny arms. And tertiary, secondary, and then tertiary arms. Big old snout. Probably gonna have bigger eyes. Barely fit on the face. Alright, then I want these wings to be big. So I'll kind of flip them down like that. So you notice when I'm drawing, a good thing to pick up if you're first starting out the drawing is you want to really get these clean lines where you're just moving one line, one direction, one idea. So when people start drawing, they tend to go to like sort of like this kind of line, very hairy line, to kind of try and find their way around the forms, and then they'll get a little bit better and they'll do this, and this is a little better. But your ultimate goal should be to think of the line and then just kind of draw it. Now, a teacher actually, Mike Mattesi, that teaches force drawing, really awesome. You should go check him out. I'll link to him in the description below. He teaches a lot of stuff about this, and this is like fundamental. And like most art teachers actually try to push line quality. I forget all the time when I go back into drawing after not drawing for a while, and I end up going back to this or this. But I try to remind myself to stick with the more of the one line, one idea. It just makes your drawings better. And a lot of this comes from not knowing, like, not knowing, more like fear or uncertainty that you're trying to place that line right in the right spot. But it's better to do one line and then be done with that there. It might not be exactly where you wanted it, but the next time you know to go back and draw it a different way. So it's kind of like if you were throwing a football and you were learning to throw a football, you wouldn't try to get the perfect arc. No, you'd throw it, see where it goes, and go, oh, I need to arc more, and then do it another time. So it's a good thing about drawing with a pen and not pencil, because then you can't erase it and do it over again. You make more progress by just doing more drawing. So pen over pencil. All right, so back to our little Stirge. So yeah, I'm thinking like big wings like this. So this, yeah, this one's good. So definitely gonna go with that. All right, so with that, I'll go to my normal process in the sketch wallet. So what I like to do is I like to lay out very simple shapes with the colored pencil. I don't go to the fine details. I'm hoping this will pick up on camera because I tend to go very light. So the Stirge is going to take up this whole page. So based on this preliminary drawing, I see that his head's going to be up here. We're going to have some bigger wings down here. His tail is actually about more than half the page. So if I do my line of action, starting up at the top, nose going down, whoop, I know with these proportions, I'm gonna want it right there. So I'm gonna leave the mark right there. So body's up here, tail's gonna go down there, wings are gonna take up, be cramped into the rest of it. All right, so let's get this tiny old head shape. Then we'll do a snout shape. And then we'll do the body shape. Arm form there, another one here, last one down there, same here, going out there, coming around here, going up there with this arm. It's kind of like a fighting pose. All right, so then we're gonna have the wings. So I'm kind of put myself into a corner here with this wing because I'm losing space on the page. If I was doing it over, I'd probably maybe move them a little bit over, but I'll make it work. So I'll kind of have it like flapped over, do some overlap there. This one, I think I'll do something similar to the first sketch I did. Lay it out there. It's pretty good. So I got a lot of room down here for these secondary wings. There we go. All right, so this one, yeah, really exaggerate those rings. And then we got his tail. So hopefully that's coming up on camera. So as you can see, very little sorted lines there, barely like getting the shapes laid out. From there, I want to do most of the effort with the brush pen. That's where all the details and such come in. So this brush pen, I think now I'm going to move the monster manual out of the way. All right, so now with the brush pen, the trick to it is you're going to be making marks, and you got this thick to thin action happening here, and that's the main reason of using the brush pen. You also have the ability to fill in large black areas. So the trick to getting thick to thin is to kind of test it out and figure out where your best way to pull lines are. So like if I try to push that direction, it's not as thin as if I pulled toward me. So the way you get around that is you spin the page around so you can line it up to get a thin line. Because I'm not going to try and push a thin line that way, because see how it's thicker? And then just kind of vary up your line weight. And I'll try to explain a way to put the line weight down. I really just kind of go with what looks good. There's probably a system to it, but I don't have it in my head. Maybe we can figure it out. All right, so let's go into this. So we've got, so I always start with the eyes and the face, because that's like the point of interest, and probably the same for this monster animal here too. The snout probably being secondary, which is still part of the face. So I really like this sort of layout I did here. Actually, I think I might draw a little bit more of this sort of expression here, and I liked how it came out there. So let's add some more guidance there. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. Let me give him a little bit of expression. There. So now that I got that down, a little more definition, but I'm still not going in and like doing fine stuff. That's what this is for. All right, so let's start at the top of the eye. Thin to thick. Give him a little bit of a beady-eyed pupil. Have him go a little cross-eyed maybe. Zeroing in on the unfortunate adventurer that's going to get attached onto of him and his hundreds of other buddies. Big old eyebrows. Very modern animation-y. Alright, so now here's one trick, is I could pull the bottom of the eye all the way from the pupil over, but I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap. That way the pupil's defined there. And now I could, I think I'm going to leave that part empty there. And then similar to this side, I'm going to leave a lot of this as a gap and just do a little thin pull up there. But leave that white space around that. That negative space will really tie it in. All right, so then from here I'm going to draw the nose. And again, you see I turn the paper so I can pull this line. I'm gonna go thick in the middle, but what I want to do is a little bit, since the end's sharp, I think I want to make it thin. And then he's got a little bit of a muzzle there. And do this funky shape. Alright, now let's see if I can get a little bit of an expression, kind of a smile here. So what we'll want is the cheeks to be pushed up. There. It's kind of a smile. I don't know, we'll see. See how the rest of it comes out. And see, I'm just kind of looking, just kind of wanting to move thick to thin as I go around the forms with the pencil. All right. Texture there. And I keep wanting to go in and add like more cross hatching, but restraint is key. So you can always go back and add, but you can't take away as easy. Right, so now with the head, I'm pretty pleased with that. Now I want to kind of work, I could work from here over, but I also want to work from like depth to the viewer. I want to work closer back, so that way I'm drawing the things that are in front and not drawing below, because we're working in traditional media, not digital. Digital, you could do it the other way, but. So what I want to do is this wing here first. So I'll do sort of a claw up here. Thinking like kind of like a bat claw. Because the wing's part of a hand. And with this, from here I want to pull it big line down, thin it out, thicken it out. Ooh, that's really thick. Well, I'm making part of the drawing now. So see, it's okay to have something come out not quite the way you wanted it. Just kind of see what you can do. And Bob Ross, happy little accents. Yeah, it's not too bad. So let's see, I kind of want the webbing there. And we'll pull, this would probably be the other finger off. If you're a animal anatomy expert and I'm doing the bat wing wrong, let me know. Probably am. I haven't studied bat wings too much. Alright, that's pretty good. What I can think. Alright, so now I got the foremost. Now I think I can probably go in and do the rest of his body and arms, because the rest of the wings, other than this part, are deeper. So let's go and see how we attach. So right here is an arm and claws. So they're kind of these front paws. So let's go. I'm just gonna kind of do faux musculature. It's kind of like an arm, so you got like deltoid trap, forearm. Oh, 3 fingers. Again, just looking kind of thick to thin. Leaving negative space to kind of breathe. And when I color this in, I also kind of separate the forms. It's pretty good. Let's do on the body. So on the body, I think he has kind of human-like anatomy with kind of a chest maybe. Really, he'd probably have several pectorals because of that down. He was hairy. 5th edition. So you know what? Actually, yeah, let's add some hair. Is he hairy in the other editions too? I don't want to leave. And we'll go under the claw. kind of wanted there to be negative space there. So yeah, actually, let's give him a real hairy chest too. That'll be a good separation of materials, and I won't have to figure out if he has pectorals and when. So again here, thick to thin, kind of following the form that I laid out there. All right, so now we've got a claw arm over here. So I'm gonna approach the arm the same way I kind of approach the whole body. I know I want to put the claw in the foreground, so I'm gonna start there and then work my way back through the arm. So as you see, there's not much of an underdrawing, so I'm just gonna kind of loop. I got kind of the two fingers. Two fingers are up top here and the one at the bottom. That was a little thicker than I wanted, but I'll make it work. And then down here. I don't know. I like that. See, shapes are kind of getting clunky together, so let's plunk the arm. Yeah, it's okay. It's not that best, but it's there. That's another part of it, is you'll never be 100% satisfied with your work. If you are, how do you do it? Let me know. But my goal here is to more finish the piece than to be 100% satisfied with it. Yeah, it looks like a claw. All right. Well, 4 more to go. Kind of wishing I didn't find those extra arms now. All right, so over here for this. For his third arm, I'll be a pro by the time I finish them all. So there's the claws. Let's do the finger. Oof. Okay, and it's gonna be under there, so we have a little bit of overlap. Deltoid. Yeah, the kids in the background. The joys of daycare closing early. So it's kind of a mess of forms. I got the two claws. So I got the 2 claws on the front claw. And the arm. Maybe when I add some color, it'll separate it out a bit. Alright, so now I got this one. Now, I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident in how I'm drawing these tri-claws. That's another thing, is you draw similar things over and over again, you get more acquainted to better procedures and recipes. Have the hairiness go down to where its tail is going to be. You know what, these are probably more like legs. So, you know what, I'll attach them. I will attach the legs before we go. A little bit more of a knee, kind of a knee right there. But they'd still be claws. They'd still have to grip, so... Oof. Yeah, not super pleased with that one, but the general shape's there. Let's hope the other one comes out a little better. So again, I'm kind of thinking of these as how a human leg would kind of work. Maybe a little too human. Claw right there, trying to keep the thin. Yeah, the tail will be behind it. Yeah, it's okay. Alright, so now let's draw the tail. So now the tail is going to be one big... Oof. So Actually, I don't think I'm going to do the overlap here like the underline drawing is. Instead, I'll just go down, use it away. There. It's like this little lost line. It's not as good as I want. Let's see if I can get the other side a little bit better. So when you're pulling long lines, you want to use your shoulder and the rest of your arm. You don't want to do too much of the wrist because you won't get as smooth of a line. Yeah, see, that's really choppy. Probably should have pulled it more. A little bit of detail there. All right, so now we got the front wing this, and now we can do the wings in the background, which are the furthest away from us. So if I come from here, I'm no longer worried about where those things are going to go. And the other thing I'll do is I'll go in and I'll add a little bit more of a thicker outline to the stuff that's in front. So kind of separate it just a little. You don't want to go too far. You want to vary that as much as you can too. Otherwise, kind of more stickerish. All right, there we go. All right, so now let's pull this wing down. So then right here is where the claws. Right here, I'm flipping the bottom of the wing over a little bit. But like this line I could connect, but if I leave it disconnected, gives it kind of a cooler, keeps the line weight varied. Maybe I'll do something similar over here. So one thing you want to avoid is like this wing here, I could like line it up as if it was going through there, but that'd be a tangent and that would kind of flatten the forms out. So instead I want it to poke up over, or I'd want it to go under. I think I want it to go under actually, because then I'd have more of a negative space shape there. So that's a change I'm going to make from this shape. So let's start it like over here. And this negative space, I want that to be an interesting shape too. I don't want it to be the same length all along. I want to vary that. I'm going to be careful, make sure that's dry. Okay. Oh, see, that was much better than the tail, the pulling the whole arm. Gotta do that more. Right, so here's where, how many claws am I putting on? 2? Keep it a little bit consistent. Loop it over there. Thicken that up. Double line there. Oh, I want that to be thinner. Yeah, it's okay. Maybe I'll thicken this one up a little bit. So, you know, I'm not 100%. I think that I'd redo this shape if I could. But, yeah. Alright, so let's go in. It's kind of a wonky shape, but these creatures kind of weird. But yeah, I think I'd redo that wing if I could. But I do like the space it gives you, so maybe the face will save it. Let's see. And we got the last wing. There we go. Big old drawing. Big old line. The 2 claws. Probably should have pointed them out. Yeah, pointing them out would have broken up this negative space. Maybe I'll remember next time. So again, not connecting them. Little claw down there. Where's his finger? Oop, there we go. So like, I got that big one without wanting to, but you know what? I'll use that to vary it into here. So this is kind of a tangent where I already fixed it a little bit, where multiple points are coming in at once. You don't want, that's a bad tangent. You'd want to separate them to where it's more like here, and then you'd want it to like connect there to give it more depth. So you're separating the forms. Alright, well, there's a Stirge. Yeah, I'm decently pleased with it. Took up a lot of the page. Maybe I should have drawn him smaller on it and had the wings out more, but we'll see how it comes out. Alright, so from here, so now I'm going to color him in. So what I've been doing, so I go back and forth between using my Surface Pro and the iPad Pro. I like the Surface Pro because I can do a lot more on it, do like 3D work and such, but when I'm doing quick sketches, Procreate on the iPad Pro works just fine. It has not as much, it's got a lot to it, but not as much as you can do like fully fledged on a full PC. Apple's getting there, but I like having access to all sorts of tools on there. So the way my process works, the way it works is I literally go to Instagram and I look at the post I just made and I'll take a screenshot of that. Just because I'm looking to work fast. I mean, I could send the photo from my phone to the iPad, but it's much faster. And I'll just share it straight to Procreate. Boom. And I'll just open Procreate. Imported. There we are. Bam. There. My coloring process is pretty simple. So I'll start off, I'll make a new layer. And I'll set that layer to multiply. And that's going to use all the shadows and stuff from the photograph to kind of make it look like I colored in the drawing. Like it's digital. I'd like to, at some point, I get a set of full Copic color markers. I'll probably do some actual coloring. But for now, we'll do this, and this is faster. So I'll set a layer to multiply, and that's going to be my color flats layer. So the first thing I do is I kind of outline in a color. So he's red. So I'll go opposite of the color wheel, kind of this teal for the background so that he'll pop from the background. And I just use this technical pen brush. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to kind of, it's a little big. I'll just kind of outline. And I'll go to the pen. Add some like inserting little bits there. All right, boom. So there's the background color. So from there, I'll do his main flat. So he's a red guy. So we'll do like a red orange. And these colors I go very like saturated. These aren't color corrected for shadow or anything. These are just the flat colors that I get down, and then I do adjustment layers later, you'll see. All right, so here now I'll just go and lay in the color. Now if I lay it in too far, or I need it to go back, I can't erase because then it'll reveal the paper again. I want it to go back to the background, so I'll just go to the previous color. Oh. Stirge red. And right now he's mostly monochrome, one color. So I'll start with this, but I do want to add some variation in reds to different spots. I'll just start getting them colored in. And I try to do this as fast as possible. It's a little sloppy. But again, speed. Just so busy with so many other things that I'm looking to just output as quick as possible while still having a decent outcome. It's one thing, you know, this as you get older as an artist, you young artists out there that have all the time in the world, cherish it while you can. Oop. Accidentally did the shortcut to eraser. Yeah, because that time disappears. See, I wish I pulled that line with a spoon when I did the inking. Clean up that. So I just started using Procreate. If you know any tips, let me know in the comments. I'm sure there's someone yelling at their computer right now. Why are you doing it that way? Because I don't know. I hope the sound's coming out good. I'm thinking about getting a microphone for this. Probably hear my kids more than you do me. All right. There we go. There we go. We got a red Stirge. All right, so now I want to vary it up. So I think I'm going to go with a lighter orange right on the face. So as a trick, they're not separated layers, so I can't just draw over like this, because then it'll cover up, see, watch, it'll cover up the blue too. But if I line out where this red is when I fill, prove me wrong, Procreate, thanks. There, I can adjust it to where it's only filling that part forward. Like that. I think maybe his forearms. I think I'm gonna make his claws a different color. I'm also thinking that maybe the bony parts of the wing. I could go back and look at reference, but I know the different editions kind of draw them differently, so this is gonna be my interpretation. I'm really using colors to my advantage to also separate forms that weren't really separated in the drawing. I also do this really sloppily because I'm going to add a shadow and light layer over this. We'll kind of hide those sloppy mistakes. And if I had more time, go on and do it more. The tail, I want to do like the fur I want to be darker. And there's the kids. Alright, so from there, let's do the darker, more saturated color. So yeah. Now the claws. More of a yellow. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, and you know what? So I'm actually going to use the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same color for the claws as the eyes, I think. I want it to be a little brighter. Yeah. I like the yellow. So sloppy. So sloppy. This is how I paint miniatures too, because I'm just so desperate for them to get on the table to play. I want to play the game. I want to finish the drawing. Should really go back, clean this up. But I get it done. Just get it done. Alright, let's go back to clean up. You also got to look at the image, how people are going to look at it and see if they can see those little mistakes. You probably will because you're watching me do it, but most people won't. That's okay. So let's go back to red. Alright, so that's a pretty good flat. So from here, I'll start adding adjustment layers. So I'll do clipping mask. So it's only affecting the colors that I have in there. And the first thing I'm going to throw on is I'm going to throw on just flat black. So boom, can't see anything. And I'll adjust that down, and this will be the shadow. So you can see the little white speck right there. That means there's some missing. So I'll go back here. And it's the claw color. So it looks like I erased there a little bit. Alright, so then from there, I'll add my first color adjustment layer over it. And I usually do this one as a cool color. So, so right now I just made it all blue. What I wanted, just made it all blue, but what I want to do is I want to change it to color. And then I'll reduce the opacity. So this will make the shadows a cooler tone. And then from there, I will add a our light layer. So our light layer is also going to be a clipping mask. I'm going to set it to overlay. And then I do each of my light sources as an overlay layer now. It helps keep things tidy, and you can change them if you want to add like reflective light in different spots and such. So the color of the light, I'm going to do yellow. I'm going to do real bright yellow right there. All right. And then from here, I just go in and paint where the light's going to go. So I'm going to have a light source coming from this direction. So from this direction. So whoop. I'm just going to hit the points where the light will collect. And I'm not doing it exact where the light would fall. I'm taking some artistic liberties to help show the form better. Like right here, I don't know if this shoulder right here would be in light. It'd probably be in shadow, but I want the form to pop out. So magical light gets there. And that's how movies and stuff do it too. If you look at a movie set, there's lights everywhere just so you can see the subjects. So like this is in shadow here. I don't want to put light there. What I might do is I might put a reflected light there for my second light source. Again, very, very sloppy. Just to get it done. And it kind of reads the form. And then I can erase the light since it's its own layer. I can even do multiple different passes of light. Let's and these light shapes, I'm also designing the shapes so they're interesting, not just necessarily following the form exactly. Ooh, I got some spots where my finger added light. That works there. So I have it adjusted for the shadows to be pretty dark here. When I do my final pass, I'll actually lighten them up a bit because I want the line art to show a bit more through, and it hides some of the mistakes. So here we go. I'll definitely put yeah, I like that. I don't like how much of the form we're losing in the shadow, so I think I will add a secondary light source. So when I add secondary light sources, I also change the color. So the same thing, I'm going to go into overlay. I got a clipping mask on it. This time I'll do a blue. And I'll use the secondary light source to illuminate the forms on the other side. And if I don't like it, I can just delete it. I'm definitely going to want to adjust this down because it was really bright. Girls, no banging, please. Girls! Okay, so there we go. Yeah, so that's a pretty strong light source for secondary light. So what I'll do is I'll go in and reduce it down just a little bit. I'll do some cleanup. Just a little bit. Oop, did it adjust back? It did. There we go. Hit the undo double tap. I'll clean that up a bit. Just there. Yeah. So then I'll add a final adjustment layer above them all, and it'll be warm to balance out the cool, which will basically desaturate a lot of it. Just feel like it gives it more harmony. So I'll go color. Red. Boom. Reduce that down. Let me see a few more things to clean up there. There, I kind of like how that came out. Alright, so now the last thing I'll do is I'll go, so since these are all clipped down to this main color layer, if I adjust this color layer, it reduces everything. So now I want to adjust it so that, oh no, alright, so I want to adjust it so that I can still see so that the line art kind of shows through. And then I can go back to these if I want it to be more blue, less blue. And even adjust the. These are more red, so yep. I kind of like that. So yeah, there he is. Well, let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you like this new format of the video. Thanks for watching.